So my mother, my smile is a gift from her, and even today it has actually impacted my life. My mom was an immigrant, immigrated from Jamaica to Canada 45 plus years ago. When she came, she was alone, and then she worked hard and she saved enough money to get us here, 3 daughters. I think the inspiration for me was she made it look so easy. You never knew what she was doing, but you were never hungry. You went to school, and she was always there, and you could do whatever. She worked hard and taught me that you can do whatever you set your mind to. You just really have to work hard at it. So that today is still what I do. Going to school and having my 3 boys and working full time and going to law school. It's just sort of an example of what my mother showed me how to do that. So I thank her for that. As a young person, a teenager, I was very shy about my smile because it wasn't the nicest smile. My teeth were spaced. So it made me a little reserved and shy. And then in grade 10, I believe, or grade 9, I went to a student fair, and there was a teacher speaking about dental assisting, the opportunity to become a dental assistant. And that connected directly with how to create a better smile for me. I pursued that. It was about an hour away from school. From home, I should say. I did that course. I graduated from high school as a dental assistant. During that time, though, I learned about how to create my smile, and that's when I went into have orthodontic work. I believe throughout that time when I learned about how to improve my smile, the psychological benefits of having a great smile, bringing me out of my shyness, really solidified my love for that industry. So the combination of being physically happy to smile and meeting new people, but also the health benefit, encouraged me to continue. I wanted to encourage others and clients about that health benefit. I remember getting my braces off and I couldn't help but smile. The lipstick went on, my tongue was on my teeth. It was such a great feeling to be able to be presentable and not be shy. So yeah, dentistry really helps your psychological makeup, but it also helps your overall health. I would say that my career started from dental assistant. And then when I was a dental assistant, I realized that I really loved dentistry and I could propel myself. So once I became a dental assistant and became certified, I proceeded into increasing my knowledge and became a dental hygienist. I became a dental hygienist in 1989 and then worked for a periodontist here in Ottawa. During that time, my periodontist realized that I was actually a real go-getter. I got things done and I enjoyed my work. And then I became the manager of that practice, propelling it in sales and efficiencies, staff harmony. And then slowly after that, I realized being a manager, there were so many legal things that came about, and that's what propelled me into law. So I'm really like your dental lawyer, per se. The beautiful thing about my employer was that he realized that I had those gifts. I was actually very good, and that came from my mother, I believe, to work hard and believe in yourself. So I managed the practice, I went to school full time, and I took care of my 3 boys. And managing the practice, I was able to do that because I was able to empower the staff to do their work so they didn't need me there 24/7. When I graduated as a dental lawyer, I started working for different organizations. I was a criminal prosecutor. I worked for an associate practice, a dental lawyer and associate, and then I worked on my own. I also worked for a company that merged and acquisition dental practices. So that's what I did. But the most meaningful was working for dentists on my own that had professional issues with the college. They had lease issues that I could actually understand where they're coming from, because being in the dental office and working shoulder to shoulder with a dentist or a dental hygienist or with the staff, you know the dynamics interiorly. So that was the best part, because I really understood what they needed when they were signing a contract and what they had to look for. When a problem arose, the resolution was very easy for me because I could go back in my mind to say, what does that really look like in the dental office, and how does that portray out now, and how do we solve that problem? How do we sign a lease that benefits the dentist, not just signing a lease? How do we help a dentist who has a professional issue with the college, not just solve that problem moving forward? How do we solve a problem with a client, a patient that might not be happy with services? How do we solve that problem, and how do we resolve it so everyone can move forward? Well, there's so much liability if you don't have contracts with your staff. Liability for dentists, very important for the relationship as well, so that everybody's aware of what needs to happen. If a dentist had to sell his practice or her practice, what happens to that employee? Not having a contract, down the road, employment law, you incur liability because you need to give sufficient notice. If you don't have that for sufficient notice in a contract, well then common law takes over, and common law, the liability is a lot higher than at the contractual law. I think about 75%, I could be wrong, or 80% of dentists today do not have a contract in place, or they don't understand why they should have one. They're doing verbal, you know, you work for me, I pay you, what have you, yes. So I've seen it where dentists have incurred over $50,000, if not $500,000 in liability with staff. It's very tragic. I believe that in school, as well as dental school and dental hygiene, you're not given a lot of substantive information about how to run a practice, the business side. You might be given a little bit about that. So dental students, whether they need to sign an employment agreement, or they want to open their own practice, and what does that mean? Anything to do with signing a contract and what does that mean needs to take place before you graduate. Understanding that signing a contract is more than just your initials. You have to understand what you're signing and what's there and what isn't there that should benefit you.
Yeah, so I think I'm probably going to be an associate for a bit until I gain the confidence to open up my own practice. And this advice mostly comes from upper years and, you know, people you know in the industry. I have an uncle or two who are a dentist, and they really help you out. So basically, from most of their experiences, they say that it's good to start off with someone else that'll help you out, and then afterwards, maybe set up shop on your own. So a lot of business is on a lot of the dental students' minds because, you know, you're told by so many people that it's so important that there's an aspect of business in dentistry, but there's not a lot of things in the curriculum that particularly touch on business. So in terms of courses, you mostly have to focus on grabbing that material from extracurricular sources. Some people host these seminars where you're able to learn about, you know, incorporating and opening up a dental practice. And me, I'm in first or second year, and I go with like one buddy, but most people who attend are in fourth years. And then these seminar leaders, they're asking questions. They're saying, oh, do you know this, you know that? And then most of the fourth years are just drawing a blank. So yeah, you'd be surprised how many people, where it's not on their mind.
So before you graduate, you need to see a lawyer to go over what are your plans. Someone you can call I would say a lawyer on demand that you can call for any questions that you might have.
Having a guide, I think that's the most important word, is, you know, being exposed to these things when you're earlier in dental school so that you have the ability to ask questions and be led on the right track, right? Because a lot of the times when you attend these other things, a lot of words are being thrown your way, but you don't really know what they mean or what you're supposed to do with them. Mentor who's done it before, or either a professional that can guide me in the right way. You're always looking for advice as a new startup, right? You want to graduate and be on the right track. So for the most part, I would totally sign up to that.
But the benefits of having dental lawyers is twofold. I'm a dental professional that understands your path because I walked that path. So as a dental lawyer, I'm actually two people in one. I think the difficulty for me is always trying to separate the two, because every time I think about something, it's dental, but then there's a legal connotation. So I'm a dental lawyer truly because I'm actually two people into one. Dentistry started for me 36 years ago, and law started for me in 2006. I was called to the bar in 2016, so it's been about 3 years that I'm a practicing lawyer, but I've been doing a lot of legal before that.
I knew that she had experience running an office, and she could help me to do that as well. And she has a great reputation from everybody I had heard. And as I got to know her, it was clear that she knew what she was doing and how to get things done.
A lot of dental offices have those different departments. They have the treatment coordinator, the dental hygienist. All those things that everyone does in the office has a legal connotation to it. Being able to work in a dental office and a dental hygienist and speaking to a dental hygienist to help them with their practice, right away I have the credibility. Right away they see, okay, Karen knows what she's talking about, she's a hygienist. And by the way, I'm still a hygienist, so I'm still current in all those fields. But having the credibility of actually performing those tasks helps with your communication with the staff and the credibility, and also for changing behavior.
Well, she was right in there rolling up her sleeves, so to speak, and, you know, decluttering even some of the things that she's like, okay, this has to go, and, you know, physically moving things to get people to see that you know, if she's doing it, they can be expected to do it as well. The first thing it did was gave me actually confidence in myself to realize that I made a good decision by choosing her.
I always imagine it to be just like if you're a dentist and you have a new client and usually do the new patient exam, and that person maintains over the years, but every 3 years or so you do what we call the co-exam, complete oral exam. It's the same thing. You graduate, you're in your practice, things come up, but it's good to have someone come in and take a look at your practice overall.
To get my staff focused, to get me focused, and to feel good about what the priorities should be and how that should be accomplished. Well, I kind of joke around that dentists, we go to dental school. We don't get any business training whatsoever. And I had 5 little kids, and I can't be good at everything, right? And so I'm good at what I do, and I needed somebody who could bring my staff up and my team up to be able to be good at what they do and feel confident and have systems in place to continue going forward and building and providing service for our patients.
So once I'm able to train staff to understand that it's the value that we need to actually speak about, the benefits and the consequences to a client, that's what makes the difference to a client to spend out of pocket. And being able to explain to the client that, you'll find that the client will value that and will pay out of pocket. So that's a bit of a difficult task to do. It takes many, many months to have someone train themselves the words they use and also how to explain to a client the benefits.
You know, so we get that whole baseline measurement, and then we can say, okay, here's where we need to focus. And this is what maybe is optional. You don't need to do this, but you could wait a bit, but you really got to get this done. And that's definitely what she provides. Very comprehensive, thorough analysis of the systems in place, the way they're being implemented. Staff
happy. Because sometimes you're working, you don't know what's going on with the heartbeat. So having that co-exam for your practice is also very important. Am I where I want to be? Because at any one time, life could change. So your practice should be sellable at any one time, not only 3 or 6 years before you decide you want to leave the practice. You should be maintaining that throughout, just like a complete exam that we ask of our own clients.
And how to read people as well, which is definitely not a huge strong point for me, but I think she was able to say, no, don't push that person too far. You know, this is what they can do, and then that's what they'll be able to do, and you'll be able to get them there.
Yes, and also to enjoy their practice and their productivity, just like we do with clients. Make sure all their teeth are working well so they can eat, and they're happy and they can smile. Enjoy your practice and check to make sure that things are still as you like them. Make any changes that you need to. You might have new employees along the way, so they'll need new contracts, and you might have other questions that come up. Unhappy patient, or you have to leave, or you're having trouble. Often I find in the dental office, it's more having disharmony. People are not on the right page, so it's more dispute resolution, coming up with solutions for things that are there, as opposed to having problems. And maintaining it, having someone maintaining to make sure the heartbeat is working well. As a consultant, I can go to a dental office and work with the dentist, look at all the efficiencies or non-efficiencies in the systems that they have in place, come up with an assessment, and consult on how we can approach to improve the efficiency and the productivity and the staff harmony in their practice. As a trainer, I actually become that person where a dental hygienist, I would sit in the chair and work, and the dental hygienist of that practice can observe me and watch me and what I do and the lingo and pick out what's good for them. So I become a role model and sit in the chair. Same with the assistant and the receptionist and the treatment coordinator. If you actually only treat clients from the insurance benefit, well, that's your maximum. You're only getting that much from the insurance. How about other things that you need to do? When you get a client to understand the value of dentistry and pay out of pocket, the sky is the limit. So the efficiency and the productivity is there, as well as the process of care is taken care of. So everybody wins. That's the art. And I think that's what really makes the difference, being a dental professional and then a lawyer, because I can actually do the job. It's not so much I can say what needs to have happen. I can actually do the job. And then through that, we can pick out all the legal things that we need to be aware of. And because I have the legal knowledge, then that added information just goes beautifully along with from start to finish. This is how you need to do it. And then throughout that process, you're actually aware of all the things you need not do to get yourself into a liability. And actually, I can give my personal example. I worked for a practice, a periodontal practice, and like I said, I was the treatment coordinator and the hygienist at the same time. When I want to train a hygienist, I would be seeing that hygienist client and she would observe me and go through that, and then she would take over the next client and I would observe her and go through all the things that I see that she could improve. So it worked beautiful because we could go back and forth, and it was non-invasive. It was more of a collaborative effort. So that happened with me personally, and that worked amazingly because eventually I had to replace myself with these clients that I've been seeing for 20, 30 years. So being able to do that was a smooth transition for me to move from one, and then the clients were well taken care of. They were happy because the skill that I had, I transferred to the other hygienists. Plus the other hygienists had their own skill, but they would actually sort of morphed it into something that would be would be good for the client. Retirement. Let's say a dentist has gone through and he's having his complete examinations every 3 years for his practice and things are going along. He or she is in 30 years into her career. About 5 to 6 years before that decision is made, you need to see a lawyer, to someone to say, okay, this is where I want to, making sure that the structures are perfectly correct, the corporate structures, making sure that the employment agreements are in place, and making sure the systems are in place so that you can now plateau the practice and make it attractive. Like you're going to sell a house so someone can come in and purchase that practice. So there's a few things to be done at least 6 years before. Some people will say 3 years before, but I find 6 years is a good time because you can problem solve anything before that and the corporate structures can be in place.